I'm not going to allow you to go before we talk books. And we're going to tend to books now, which is a very popular section. And apologies, I think our last 2 episodes or so didn't have the book section. We apologize for that. But today we're not going to do that. One of your ambitions is to write books,
Yes.
To motivate, for motivation and posterity. So we're looking forward to that. They say you should never ask somebody how far they are with writing their books, because that could just jinx things. What books have you read, Pastor, that you'd want to recommend to our viewers out there?
So, Trevor, I read widely. I love biographies because it tells me what people were thinking. I read quite a bit of Zimbabwean biographies. I read Dinner with Mugabe, The Struggle for Zimbabwe by Herbert Ushokunze. The Struggle Continues, David Coltart. I'm just finishing now.
Beautiful book.
Yes. I love those books. For Zimbabwe, I have a question. Is what made those guys be willing or able to sacrifice to the extent of abandoning everything to go to secure the country's independence? And I want to see if anything changed, if that same thing remains in them, and how it's transmitted when you're no longer under the same pressure and the same conditions. That's why I love biographies. I read other countries' politics and biographies as well. But that's my political interest, particularly around Zimbabwe. I then read quite a bit of personal management. I love a guy called Hiram Smith, and he gives laws on time management, laws.
Which book in particular would you recommend?
This is Time and Self-Management. That book changed my life because he asks you to be honest with yourself about the hemorrhage of time, about where you waste time. You know, you always say, I'm busy. Don't you know this? And he corners you to say, no, you're not that busy. You're just not organized. So he's been a great help for me. I read everything that I know that exists by Edwin Lewis Cole. And I just found him to have handles on men, particularly around being a father. Because as I told you, I grew up without a dad. I don't know how to do fathering, and my children were my first experiment. So,
and they take exception to that because
the results are
the ones that have stood up and said, "I'm not an experiment, Junior."
They've suffered. They've had to be processed by a guy who's learning.
Yeah.
So that's what, on parenting and kind of husbanding, that's been my mentor. I read fiction. I like to read fiction, and I read a lot of animal, wildlife. I don't know if you remember the guy James Herriot.
Yes.
I gobble up. I still find books in old bookshops of James Herriot, Gerald Darrow.
There's a rural boy inside you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. In fact, I think that we were having a discussion with my best friend the other day. I'm actually more rural than I am the other. You know, I just... the diamond is polished a little bit, but inside it's
rural.
I love being in the bush. I love being Kumusha and stuff like that.
Thank you for sharing those books. I'm going to share this. This is a book that I'm reading at the moment by Walter Isaacson on Elon Musk. A beautiful book in many respects. You know, it's very easy, Pastor, to look at Pastor Wazara driving his beautiful cars and stuff. And you don't ask yourself, how did he get there? Elon Musk has taken a lot of sacrifices and a lot of knocks to get where he is. I love the guy who wrote the book, Walter Isaacson. Walter Isaacson wrote the biography on Steve Jobs. I like the way he writes. So this is a book I would recommend to people to read. Lots of lessons on family. He's estranged from his father, as you know. He doesn't talk to his father anymore. But this is the man who has given us Tesla.
Tesla, yeah.
He's given us SpaceX, and he's got the biggest collection of satellites
yeah.
out there. This is the man who's doing things I don't like about Twitter, but I've learned not to bet against Elon Musk.
Yeah.
Beautiful book to read.